But then obviously then you got, after that you got...
what you mean you had a
who was
meeting?
the manager? It was Kevin Keegan, and then he gets sacked, and then it all changes again.
Was it a meeting over the captaincy?
Yeah.
You called it?
No, they called it.
What, to say you were the captain?
No, wanted to be captain.
They wanted you to be the captain?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, he got sacked.
Who, Kevin?
Yeah, then it changed.
No.
Does that still bug you? That?
It is what it is, isn't it? New manager, new ideas, people change, it is what it is.
We'll get back to Sol in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please put it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments. Now, in this little clip from the overlap, it's going to be Sol Campbell talking about his time playing for England. And for my regular viewers, as you well know, this is usually a Manchester United fan channel, but because it's the international break, I am going to be talking about England, because at the Big D _ is not just a Manchester United channel. Every now and then, he talks about England. And, well, the Big D's got a lot of thoughts about Sol Campbell, but have a look at the clip first. Stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on the big man himself. Here he is.
Talked about England, Sol. How do you see your England career? Because obviously we all see our England career is different because we didn't win, and we obviously know we didn't win. It's thrown back at us quite a lot. But how do you view that?
I mean, I've played for England since, 15, 16 like you, and all the way through. Won some stuff as a youngster and things like that. But obviously when it came to the first team, we just came short a couple of times. And sometimes a referee decision as well could have helped us going forward, or, boot away like Gascoigne against, Germany, all that kind of Euro 96. So I think for me, overall, there's some good tournaments, some bad tournaments. I think I've thoroughly enjoyed my time there. It's a shame we couldn't have, at least get to a final. Look against, say, Argentina. Look at that situation. If you had that now, it's a goal, where I scored against them in the winning goal. The keeper's outside the 6-yard boxes, and then the referee says, Shearer's kind of took him out. Well, how's he going to jump? Like, jump with no arms? It's not like it's on the line. You score a goal, you think that's it, and then you turn around and then they scored the other end, the Argentinian team. So,
was the one in 2004 as well?
Yeah. Another one, he said I was holding down, I was holding down John Terry, and he's saying he's holding down the keeper, he's spanned the other way, and I've headed it in, and, 5 minutes, that's it, you're into the semi-final. So you're close, you're that, it doesn't work out. You need that little bit of luck as well. You need a top team, but you need a bit of luck as well.
Why didn't we...
and also Wazza, getting injured, and, that obviously didn't help for us as well. Top player at the front, going all guns and, have that quality up front, and we missed that as well.
Which England manager did you enjoy playing under most?
I think for me, when you look at it, there's Glenn. I think Glenn probably was, he's very open in the sense that I'm trying to bring a different type of football. I started more on the left wing back, but also left of the 3 centre halves. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that kind of freedom, and also getting back up, defending, going up, seeing if I can, score a goal or cause the problems up front as well. I kind of like that position. I think he was kind of, I'm not saying he's ahead of his time, but he allowed the players to have that freedom. Obviously, he was a stickler for some strange things all the time, but it is what it is. No one's perfect. But I think with Glenn, he was really open, and he, I think the lads enjoyed playing with him.
Yeah. A lot of the England players speak highly of him, don't they?
His football was probably an advanced level. His football was very... Scholesy says by far he was the best coach that he had with England, that he loved playing for him.
But I think Venables was different in the sense that he was a really good man manager with obviously knowledge of the game.
Tactical,
and if you can control and get the best out of Gascoigne, you can get the best out of anybody. So, obviously Venables was incredibly good at that. As well.
Weren't you given the captaincy? Were you 23 or something like that?
So yes,
very
second
young.
youngest, and then Michael Owen got in the way. So, but
got in the way.
You are upset about. You think no? I think at the time you felt you should have been captain, didn't you?
A lot more. I had a meeting. There's a meeting with Barber.
Paul Barber.
Yeah. Up when I used to live in I used to live in a place called Hertford back in the day, so we had a proper meeting.
You did with him?
Yeah. He came over and we had it was an Italian restaurant I chose in the local area. Yeah. But then obviously you got, after that you got...
What you mean you had a
the
meeting?
manager? It was Kevin Keegan, and then he gets sacked, and then it all changes again.
Was it a meeting over the captaincy?
Yeah.
You called it?
No, they called it.
What, to say you were the captain?
No, wanted to be captain.
They wanted you to be the captain?
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, he got sacked.
Who, Kevin?
Yeah, then it changed.
No.
Does that still bug you? That?
It is what it is, isn't it? New manager, new ideas, people change. It is what it is. I think for me, it's like you've been almost being captain, and then you become vice captain, then you become no captain, and then you become one of the best defenders in the world. So it's like you become one of the best defenders in the world. You're playing really top football, and you kind of nowhere near captaincy of your club, of your country, and you say, so what's gone on? Okay, I moved from Tottenham to Arsenal, but I've gone onto another level. That's the thing for me as well. It wasn't adding up, and people were getting captain, the captain armband who weren't captain at the clubs and things.
So
like
why
that.
do you think so? Why do you think they didn't give you the captaincy? Is that the manager? Obviously, the managers.
Yeah, manager wants to.
Right.
I totally understand that. Managers want someone else to be captain and things like that, and it is what it is. Right. Just move on.
But I think you'd always feel who the captain was. When I was in the team, you could see obviously Bex was captain when I got in, and then was Stevie after Bex.
Stevie, yeah.
JT was for a bit when he.
Yeah. Rio.
In Rio.
Is there politics with being in England?
Yeah, big time.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think
that's your point, John, is it?
I think it's less now. I think it's less now.
I think in that period there was, but then
I think it's less
when I become captain, there was actually no one else really there to be captain, really. So it was quite an obvious choice. But I think back then there was big characters within the team, and all probably thinking they should be captain, and then in the end that ended up spilling over the net a little bit.
I was going to say, how do the older players react to a 23-year-old being given the captaincy? Because do they think it should be them or no?
I don't think there was a problem. To be fair, the players wouldn't kick off about who was captain. Don't think anybody said.
I think behind the scenes.
Did they?
Yeah. Behind the scenes, yeah.
Politics. You should know that.
A lovely little line.
Behind the scenes.
You're 50.
Yes.
What does the next 20 years bring?
20?
Only 20?
Come on! What are you doing? Guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, Sol Campbell, he was an absolute phenomenal central defender, and he's almost a forgotten centre-back in a lot of ways, because, everyone talks about Virgil van Dijk now being world-class, blah, 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 but Sol Campbell was better than him. Sol Campbell was an absolute man-mountain. And there's an absolute strong argument for him being the best central defender for a period of time in his prime. He was brilliant. And he was part of probably the best defence in the 2002 World Cup. Because if the Big D remembers correctly, that back four was... Gary Neville was injured, so I think they picked Danny Mills. I think. Could have been Danny Mills, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that Gary Neville was injured. But it was Rio Ferdinand, Sol Campbell, and Ashley Cole. And it was superb, and it took an attack of Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo to break them down. And even then, they only conceded 2 goals against those three phenomenal, insane Brazilian talents. So, I don't know, sometimes I feel as though Sol Campbell doesn't necessarily get the credit that he deserves. I think maybe a big part of that was he didn't really play for a dominant club side. If he'd signed for Man United, say, which he almost did at one point, then it might have been a different kettle of fish, really. Because he played for Arsenal, and fair enough, he won a couple of league titles, and, fine. But Arsenal didn't really dominate, necessarily. But if he played for United and won about 5 Premier League titles, or even if he played for Chelsea alongside John Terry, it might have been a different kettle of fish. But yeah, I just remember Sol Campbell being big, imposing, strong, fast, big game player. And he was coming up against so many world-class number 9s at the time. Ronaldo, as I've already mentioned there, R9, that is. He was up against Alan Shearer, Teddy Sheringham. He won't. Yeah, well, he will have come up against Ian Wright when he was playing for Tottenham Hotspur. Who else? I mean, did they play? Well, they must have played Champions League football. Did he come up against like Gabriel Batistuta? Well, yeah, he must have done. Of course, he will have done because England played Argentina in the 1998 World Cup. And he was so unlucky. I mean, if England had won a tournament or had maybe even got to the final, and as they allude to in this clip, you know, they were a whisker away from doing that. And I remember he scored what should have been or could have been the winning goal in the second round of the World Cup against Argentina when his goal was ruled out because apparently, what was it, Alan Shearer had obstructed the goalkeeper or something or something. I remember watching it thinking, that's insane. Why was that disallowed? But yeah, I mean, he was an absolute world-class, world-beaten centre-back. And wow, he would even still play in today's game. Not a problem at all. I just feel as though it's weird. It's weird how football's changed because back in the day, like we're talking early noughties, there were a lot of good individual footballers. And it's true what Michael Owen says. He says that, you know, back in his time, you had to be a good footballer individually to make it as a professional footballer. Whereas now, you just really need to be big, strong and athletic, really. But in terms of skills, it's not a prerequisite to being a professional footballer now. Whereas back then, you needed to be an expert in your given position, and Sol Campbell was that. He was brilliant in the air, fast, strong, could hold off players, like really strong centre forwards, like Duncan Ferguson, who was an animal, and he was built like a brick shit house as well. So you need to be a top class central defender back then. You needed to know your stuff, and you needed to be physically imposing as well. So, I mean, you know, a big shout out, big respect to Sol Campbell, because he was class. Did well for Spurs, won titles at Arsenal, and then he went to Portsmouth in the twilight of his career and won an FA Cup. Yeah, he was such a good player, and I'd take him in United's defence now in an absolute heartbeat. But yeah, that's Big Sol. Anyway, what do you guys think? What are your memories of Big Sol? What was his finest moments in an Arsenal shirt, Spurs shirt, or an England shirt? You tell me. The Big D always wants to know what is on your mind. Just keep it civil and put it in the comments. The Big D will see you in the next one.